Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, this is Josh with Cyber Systems, and today I'm going to be demonstrating for you Roboform, our password management solution. If at any time during the webinar you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat, and I'll go over them between sections. And I'm going to start off today by showing you the main features of Roboform, how your consumers, your users will use it, and then from there I'll show you the administrative features. And so let's start off by going over what is Roboform, how it'll help you. And Roboform is a password management solution. And what it can do is solve one of the major company problems a lot of companies are having nowadays, how to manage all of their passwords. Employees have dozens of passwords that they need to remember. And to have proper password hygiene, they need to have a unique and complicated password for each of these portals that they need to enter. And what inevitably ends up happening is employees end up using the same password for multiple portals. They'll use different passwords, but they'll be simple and easy to guess ones like password 123, something like that. Or if they do have unique and complicated passwords, they're writing them down on a post-it note on their desk or in a Excel spreadsheet that they're sharing around. And all these ways are very insecure and can result in security breaches that cost companies millions of dollars. What Roboform is going to do is it's going to allow you to capture all of these passwords, store them securely, and it's going to help your employees generate unique and complicated passwords for each of these websites that they then don't need to remember. And from there, these passwords can be securely shared with other users in your company. And I'll go ahead and show you an example of capturing a login. We'll go to LinkedIn. I'll just need to sign out here. All right, and I'll go ahead and log in. And as I log in, you'll see Roboform will pop up and offer to save the login for me. And I just have to press save, and now Roboform's captured it. And now anytime I want to log into LinkedIn, I can just use Roboform. You'll see I'll click the Roboform extension here in my web browser. The Roboform extension is available for all major web browsers. And all I have to do is click the LinkedIn login. It'll fill in my information and sign me in. And I don't even necessarily have to be at linkedin.com to log in using Roboform. I can be anywhere. All I have to do is click the extension, go to logins, find my LinkedIn login. It'll take me to the web page, fill in my information, and sign me in. And now that Roboform's captured this information for me, I can now use its password generation feature to come up with a long and complicated password. So we'll go to the extension, we'll go to generate here. And as you see here, I have a bunch of options to generate a unique and complex password. Let's say I want to generate a 25-character password that has uppercase letters, has numbers, unique symbols. I'll check the corresponding options, click Generate New, and then copy. And now I just have to paste it into the password change field of the website, and Roboform will offer to save this password for me. And Roboform can save more for you than just logins. I'll show you here the Roboform Editor. This is going to be the local application that users will use to manage their information, edit them if they need be, and this is where they can share data with other users. So here we have several data types. We've got logins, as we just covered. We've got bookmarks, application logins. Roboform can capture a login for local software, for something like Skype or PuTTY. Roboform can attach to the software, and when you try and log in, Roboform will detect this and offer to save the login for you. It can store what we call an identity. An identity is essentially an aggregation of all your data. It's going to capture your name, email address, phone number, street address, all this information, and it can fill it into web forms for you. And I'll show you an example. Go to Amazon. I'll just sign in here with Roboform. You see I have a long shipping form here. And rather than fill in all this information, I just need to go to my Roboform extension, click the identity that I've made, and it'll fill in all my information. And finally, we have safe notes. And safe notes are essentially a text document that you can securely store in Roboform. This is where you'd put information that you wouldn't necessarily put in a login, like, say, the combination to a safe or the IP address of your router. And once you store all this information in Roboform, it's going to encrypt it using AES 256-bit encryption, and it'll leave a copy both on your computer and on our server. And this is going to allow you to securely access this data from wherever you are, from work, from home, even from a mobile device, and you're going to be able to share it with other users in your company. And unless you all have any questions right now, I will go ahead and move on to the administrative features. All right, looks like we don't have any questions, so I'll go ahead and show you the administrative features of Roboform for Business. Log into our console here. So this is your Roboform for Business Administrator interface. This is where company administrators are going to manage all of the users, share data with them, and set policies to enforce how they use Roboform and make sure that they're using it in a secure fashion. So we'll want to start off by adding users to our company. We'll do that through the Users panel here. Adding a new user is easy. We click Create User. If they're brand new to Roboform, you just enter their name and their email address here, and then we send an email with basic instructions on how to finish setting up their account, and then they'll be joined to your company. And if they've already been using Roboform, that's fine. You go to the Join User tab, you enter the email address tied to the Roboform account, and then the next time they log into Roboform, they'll be prompted to join your company, and they'll be able to bring with them all of the Roboform data that they've created. And then once they've joined your company, you can easily manage their data. Just click on them, you'll be able to change their name if you need to, give them administrator privileges, reset their password should they forget it, and you can even suspend them or delete them. And if you should choose to delete a user, the license that they occupy will then be freed up, and you can then assign it to a new user that joins your company. And so once you have users join your company, you want to make sure they're using Roboform in a secure fashion, and that's where policies will come in. Policies are going to allow you to enforce certain settings on your users, and as you see here, we have a wide array of policies that allow you to customize your users' usage of Roboform in a way that you're comfortable with and meets your company's security standards. We have master password settings. This allows you to enforce certain complexity on your user's master password. Say, I want them to have a 12-character long master password that they rotate every 30 days. I can do that. In user settings, we have options such as enforce auto log-off time. If, for instance, I want them to log out automatically after 15 minutes of inactivity, I can enforce that. And I can even prevent them from sharing their Roboform data with users outside of the company. Dual authentication and access settings gives us some of Roboform's more advanced security features. Roboform offers two-factor authentication in the form of what we call a one-time password. So if a user logs into the Roboform account from a new IP address or from a new web browser, Roboform will send them a 6-digit code via either email or text message that they'll need to enter to log in. This way, if somebody else gets a hold of their master password, unless they also get a hold of their email or their phone, they won't be able to get into Roboform. So if you want to enforce this two-factor authentication, you'd use this policy. And in the same vein, we can even enforce what IP address ranges users can log in from. If you want to make sure that users can only log in from your office or a predefined work-from-home location, you just enter those IP address ranges here, and that would further enhance your security. And lastly, we have Blacklist and Whitelist settings. For instance, I don't want users using Roboform on their Facebook. All I'd have to do here is enter facebook.com, and this would prevent users from using Roboform on their Facebook. And so we've added users to our company. They're using Roboform in a secure fashion that we're comfortable with. Now we want to share data with them, and that's where groups will come in. A group is essentially a shared folder that we're going to set up, and that we can give users access to. We can put data in this group, and we can determine how much access they have to the data in the group. I'll show you an example here. We'll create a test group. We have two major options when setting up a group. We have the storage type. This is going to determine where data in the group is stored. If you leave it at server, a copy of the data will only ever be left on our server. It won't be stored on the user's computer. Or you can leave it at synced, and this will leave a copy of the data both on our server and on the user's computer. And this way, if the user does not have internet connection, they're still going to be able to access data in the group and use it to log into local applications or access any safe notes you've put in the group. And we also have usage permission. This is going to determine the level of access they have to data in the group. We've got two major options here. We've got limited. This is essentially a read-only permission. Any logins that are shared with users, they won't actually be able to see the username or password for the login. They'll simply be able to have Roboform log in for them. And they also won't be able to edit any data that's shared with them through the group. We also have the Readwrite Permission. This is going to allow users to actually see your usernames and passwords shared with them, and they can edit them as well if they need to. And any edits they make will then be immediately reflected to other users in the group. So we'll create our group. Adding users to it is simple. We check the group that we'd like to add them to, and we check the users themselves, and we click Add to Group. And now these users will have access to any data that we place in this group. And I will want to actually put some data in the group. So let's go to the Files tab. In the Files tab, we can see any groups that we've created, as well as all of our Roboform data. So we'll select this LinkedIn login. We'll click Add to Group, and we can add it to the test group we made. And now all of those users will have access to this LinkedIn login. And now, last but not least, we have the Reports feature. This is going to allow you to audit your users' usage of Roboform. You see here we have several statistics that you can make use of. We have a security score. This is going to be the Roboform assigning a score to determine how secure your users' passwords are. Roboform will check how long and complicated the user's password is and whether or not they're using the same password for multiple websites, and we'll give them a score based on how well they're doing. We can see the last time they logged into Roboform, any groups that they're a part of, and their usage permission in each group. And we can even generate a log of their usage history of Roboform, and we can determine the time range that this log covers. And this functionality extends to groups. We can see what types of files are in groups and how many. We can see the group security score, the number of users in the group, and we can even generate a log for the group. And if we like, we can even generate a log for the whole company's usage. And these cover the general features of Roboform for Business. If you have any questions or you'd like more depth on certain topics, please ask now in the chat. All right, we have a question about the one-time passwords and two-factor authentication and how exactly you enroll a browser. So Roboform offers two-factor authentication in the form of one-time passwords. Essentially, if a user logs into Roboform from a new IP address or from a new web browser that they haven't enrolled previously, they'll be sent a code by either text or email. And once they enter this code, they'll be given the option to enroll this IP address or their web browser in the future so that when they log in from this location, they won't have to enter a new one-time password. And to prevent, you can enforce this if you'd like. You can prevent users from using this if you want them to enter a one-time password every time they log in. We have a question about Active Directory integration. Yes, there is Active Directory integration. We have an Active Directory connector that can sync up to your Active Directory server, and it can synchronize any groups and users you have to your Roboform account. And then from there, it will continue to monitor your Active Directory server for any changes to it, and it can then reflect them to Roboform. For instance, if you disable a user in Active Directory, they'll then have their Roboform account disabled. Or if you change a user's email address in Active Directory, that will also be reflected. We have a question about users adding their own logins to groups. So when a user is added to a group, you have a few different permission levels that you can grant them. If you give them at least the regular permission level, as you see here, we have 3 different levels. If you give them at least the regular permission level, they'll be able to add their own Roboform data to the group. One thing to keep in mind is unless a user adds their Roboform data to a group, that data remains private. So that means that nobody aside from that user will be able to access this data, not even a company administrator. And we also have the additional privilege level of Group Manager. And what this does is essentially makes the user an administrator of their group. They'll have all the features of a regular user, but they'll also be able to add new users to their group, and they can even set permission policies at a group level. We have a question about SAML. Roboform does not offer SAML integration. All right, and that looks like all the questions we have for today. Thank you all for attending, and I hope you all have a nice day.